Well, we got another big challenge this week. This is another team that is way better than their record. They're 4-4, but literally two games that they're tied in the last minute that they lost. Virginia and Wake Forest. And obviously, Wake Forest is a top 10 team having a great year at Wake Forest. So this is a 4-4 team, but again, they're a handful. Do a great job coaching over there. I mean, Satterfield's got these guys playing hard. They do a good job with their schemes on both sides and positioning their players. The quarterback is another great player. It seems like every single week I look up and we're playing, a freak show at quarterback, and a lot of veteran guys. This guy's played a lot of football, a ton of football, and he's just a great player. He's got a great skill set. He's an excellent runner. He's a problem with his legs, just like we've been seeing. But he's an excellent passer, and he's accurate. He will put the ball up. A lot of shots. Schematically, they do a good job. They want to run the ball. There's 6 teams in the country right now that are averaging 200 rush and pass, and Louisville's one of them. So, different from Syracuse, different from Florida State, in that this is a team that has a lot of balance, and that's how they've created a ton of explosives. I think they lead the country in plays of 70 yards or more, so their ability to run the ball, and then the quarterback, threat is a problem. So good backs, good receivers, tight ends, the leading receiver for them. He's a very good player. They use him in a lot of different ways. But all the cross country routes and deep post wheels and throwbacks, everything that comes off of their pistol scheme and play action scheme, the quarterback run game. They've got it all. They do a good job with that stuff. But it starts with them running the ball. They're going to run the stretch. They're going to get in the tackle over. They're going to run. They do a good job of splitting you and dividing your defense if they can get you blocked. So we're going to have to do a great job from a defensive standpoint. And first of all, probably biggest game we've had from a communication standpoint and our discipline and our eyes, because there's some option principles too, because they will run some option. So we've got to play really well on the back end, but we got to win the line of scrimmage. Simple as that. And stay on our feet and not let them get this run game going, because again, that's where they get dangerous. Is when they're efficient and they can really create explosives because of how you have to play to stop the run game. So that'll be a big part of it for us. But like I said, good players. They do a great job up front. Got a couple of big-bodied receivers, and again, tight end's a good player. They got one kid, I guess number 8. He doesn't have but like 8 catches, but he averages 34 yards a catch. So when he touches it, it's a big play. He can fly. But number 1, 5, all those guys, good players. And then defensively, they've changed a little bit. If you really watch them from the beginning of the season to where they are now. So you got to kind of prepare for what we've seen all year. They're an Okie front, but they early part of the year, a lot of coverage, lately it's a lot of pressure, and really trying to get to the quarterback, trying to stop the run game of some of these teams that could really run the football, like BC, like NC State. So they created a lot of pressure, and so you got to make some plays in the passing game. So they've changed some things up a little bit, but same thing. Really good group, well coached. They lost a really good player in number 13. He's an excellent corner, but they've got some veteran guys over there. 22 is disruptive. I mean, he's got about 6 sacks or so. Number 9, Avery's played 100 games. That guy's the heart and soul of what they do over there. Got some big disruptive guys up front with a lot of experience as well. So good football team across the board, and going up there, so it's always a tough place to play. And so again, another big challenge for us. But we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to going up to Louisville and Injury-wise, don't really have an update for you guys other than we got some guys that'll, literally be day-to-day. Nobody that I can say is out that you don't already know about in the list of however many guys that is. But, hopefully each day we'll get a couple of these guys a little bit better and be ready to go. But proud of our guys from last week. Thought it was a great win for us. Had some guys nationally recognized, linebacker and punter and running back. So hopefully we can take that momentum on the road and do what we haven't done this year, and that's play a complete game, on the road. It's not been a good year for us on the road, and as we get rolling in November, if we're going to have the type of finish we want, we got to go play well on the road. And, our effort, our physicality, our toughness, taking care of the ball, not having stupid penalties. And if we do that, we'll have a chance to win the game. Any questions?
Dabo, is Malik more comparable to like Schrader from Syracuse or Jordan Travis from Florida State? Just in terms of
he's a combination of both. He's not quite as big as Schrader, but he's a stronger runner than Travis, similar to Schrader, but he's more elusive than Schrader. Maybe not quite as elusive as Travis, but he's kind of in between there. But he's dangerous, and I think he's just got more experience, as a quarterback. This guy's played a lot of football, and he's a very good thrower. I mean, he's an accurate guy. He can push the ball down the field. He can throw the ball on the run. He really understands their scheme. I mean, I don't know how many games he started, but he's been there a long time. He's played a lot of football, and that matters, man. I mean, he's got a really good feel for defensive football and structure and coverage and where to go with it, and when to run and when not to run, and all those things. So he's similar but different. I think all three of them are unique.
Some of his shake and acceleration sort of give you flashbacks to another quarterback who played there.
Yeah, and if you look statistically, there's some similarities between those two guys, for sure. I know I read something in the scout report the other day that he and Lamar are the only two guys to do. I don't know what it was, but I'm sure it's rushing and passing from that position. I think there's only been two guys at Louisville do that. So he's definitely Lamar-esque, for sure. I mean, he keeps you up at night because he can really create and turn a bad play into a good play. He's at 13 rushing touchdowns. He's a leading rusher, and you watch. I can't remember who the game was, but I mean, you get down in the red zone and they drop back to throw the ball, and it's really nobody open, and he rushes for a touchdown. I mean, that's just, and they got a guy there, but they just don't tackle him. He's a problem in space. So a lot like last week, you've got to, and I thought that was the best part of what we did in that game against the toughest guy that we've had to kind of really contain. We did a great job, with our leverage, with our rush technique. We didn't overrush. We squeezed. Our tackles did a great job on a lot of our twist game stuff, and the one play that Root made, for example, the one that he redirected, knocked the ball, and they ended up saying he was down. But Root makes that play because of what Tyler Davis did. Tyler didn't really get credit for it, but because of how he executed his technique and on a game there and leveraged him, when he spun out and Tyler was there, Root was able to get him. And so that's the challenge, is because if you give him an edge, you're in trouble. And so he's, like I said, it just seems like every week we look up and we got a guy that is not one-dimensional, a guy that can beat you a lot of different ways.
I think Miles was actually talking about Tyler just in terms of his intelligence. They slide the protection one way, Tyler knows.
Yeah.
How much does he add just from a mental standpoint, just his IQ for the game?
Yeah, a ton. I mean, he's been coached a lot. It's his third year. He came here as a very smart player and a very fundamentally sound player coming in here, and that's why you saw him play right away as a freshman. got a great toolbox, as far as all his rush techniques and his run, the way he plays the run, great recognition, and then that's just that foundation has just grown since he's been here with his knowledge. So he's just a very smart player, and it makes a difference. You're not just out there playing like you know the game, and you're not just doing a call like you recognize. You get block recognition, protection, backfield sets. You really take advantage of the tips and tendencies and reminders and all those things that come with game planning. He's just one of those guys that takes a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, but you spoke about how elusive Jordan Travis is. Just how impressive was it the way the front was able to stay with him and tackle him? And like even that play with Rook, it seemed like he was right there with him.
He was. He redirected a couple, but again, TD made the play. He didn't get the credit, but TD makes the play because he was where he was supposed to be, and there was nowhere for him to go. So he redirected, and then he had to come back, and Rook had him. So that was the best part of the game for me. I mean, 6 sacks on that guy, getting him down, that's a day's work because he is a really, really good player, and we just played with a lot more discipline in that area. We missed several sacks at Pitt. I mean, several, where we had him and just didn't, we let him outside, we let him escape. We didn't stay on the upfield shoulder, just some basic things. And so it was good to see us, make the type of improvement, this past week that we needed.
With this fellow here, it sounds like you've got to preach, don't overcommit in terms of containing him. You mentioned he went for a touchdown, and there was a guy right there. I mean, can you get that message across? Can you adapt and adjust your defense with that mindset for a player like this to contain?
Yeah, I think the good news is we've had a lot of experience this year. We've seen a lot of stuff, and we've seen they've got their own nuances within their scheme, but there's some similarities to their formationing, how they play action. I mean, they're similar to NC State in a lot of areas that they're very committed to running the stretch and the boots off of it, and so they're trying to always divide your defense. Guys are cutting you backside, and if you get cut down backside or your linebacker overruns it, that ball's out the back door, and then you got to play the boots too. So you can't over pursue, and then here goes the quarterback out the back, because now you got a problem, because now he's a runner and a thrower, and so you have to keep him. Starts with keeping him contained. You've got to keep him in the pocket. You can't let him just be a free runner and overcommit. And if you do pursue, you got to have an answer. You got to have somebody that's playing the backside. And then you throw in the fact again they're tackle over, and they got to tackle over, and they're running a lead stretch, and those big bodies are flying down the line. And I mean, it only takes a little crease, as you saw. We ran the stretch. That's the big play we hit with Maffa last week, and it don't take much. A little bit of a crease, and it's a big game. So a lot like NC State, that will be a challenge for us. We got to do a great job up front. We got to win the line of scrimmage, and we've got to be very, very disciplined. Safeties there's a lot of conflict for those guys because there's a ton of run, a ton of play action. That's their bread and butter. So safeties have to play the run, and they got to read through the play action, and we got to handle the formations and the crossers, and we've gotten better at that, but this will be another spin on it this week.
What can you point to on the road? You mentioned some of the struggles, and you believe that your team's just not carrying with them what they know how to do to those road environments. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, we played Georgia. They're really good. We were just great on defense and made the critical mistake, turnover. Same thing at NC State, double overtime game. We didn't make the critical play. We had the critical turnover. We had the critical penalty. And that was the difference in the game. So I mean, we had opportunities, but we're much better than we were then, for sure. And then you get up there at Pitt, and we're in position. We weren't opportunistic, And I think that's the biggest thing, and that's what I was happy to see last week. We just made a lot of the routine plays, and we did a good job, but we still had the critical turnover, just like we did at Pitt. And so that's something we just can't do. So I think for us, it's the foundation, just standing on that, man. Our efforts got to be amazing. We got to physically win the matchup. We got to take care of the ball. We can't have stupid penalties. Don't help them. But main thing offensively is just be opportunistic. I mean, we didn't do that the last time on the road, and opportunities there, we just didn't kind of seize the moment. And I think when you're on the road and you got those opportunities, you got to seize that moment. It could have been 14-0. Probably should have been 17-0 in that first half. But we turn it over in the red zone on a bad play. We're in field goal range. We missed a touchdown on the same drive, so if you at least get a field goal there, we drop a touchdown. Next thing you know, you're on the road and you miss some of those opportunities, and you let that home team get going. It's tough. So we got to be opportunistic on offense. We've got to make those routine plays. We got to run the football, take care of the ball, and then defensively, we just got to make them keep snapping it. They're explosive. So that's been it's kept them in some games. It's some of the huge. NC State, they hit a 75-yard touchdown on a corner cat blitz, where the guy he just ran right by the safety, and he put it right on the money, and so they've had some huge explosives, and so I think for us, it's not giving up the explosive, and make them have to drive the ball down the field. I think that'll be a key, especially on the road.
Swinney was talking yesterday about how they have like 11 different versions of cover 3, and they really challenge you schematically. Do you feel like DJ and the offensive line are ready to handle some of the?
It's not really anything they hadn't seen. They've seen a lot of variations, but they do a good job, and so we've got to do a good job of manipulating that. But they do. They've got every cloud roll coverage. Middle backer trying to be a middle field close guy. They've got everything you can think of, in their scheme. So I think a lot of that depends on how the game is going, and how we're running the ball, how efficient we are. We behind the chains, those type of things. But they've got a lot of variations.
There's only so much time to practice and game plan, given their recent change up to more pressure. How much harder does that make it to sort of zero in?
Well, it'd be harder earlier in the season, but I think we're just more experienced now. We've seen a lot more. It's tougher if you were, it was the opener or the second or third game. We've got enough guys that have played enough ball now and seen enough things that we feel like we've got answers regardless of how people want to play. And early part of the year, we had the answers. We just weren't quite good enough to get it done. And we've gotten better. We've gotten better. There's no question. We're not anywhere near what we want to be or can be, but we're better. And so, if we can continue to run the ball the way we have, then there'll be opportunities in the passing game. So I think that's where it starts for us. We've got to be able to set the tone there.
David, with the improvement in the running game, is there anything different schematically you guys have been doing, or is it just better?
No, just better execution. It's better execution. We've always run the zone, some variation of it, would be inside zone, outside zone. We run the counter. We run the quarterback plays. We run the power. We get on the edge some. We're just doing a little better job than we were early part of the year.
Yeah, but when it comes to Justin Ross, Tony mentioned yesterday, him being back outside felt a little more comfortable. Is that something you want to keep doing moving forward, or do you want to kind of help him work out that stuff in the slot? Yeah,
we'll keep moving around. We've done that. He's really done that his whole career. If you go back and look, one of his biggest plays early in his freshman year was from the slots. I mean, we moved him around. We'll continue to do that. We'll put him in the boundary some. He'll be in the slot some. We'll formation him where we need him to be. But the development of Bo has really come on. Getting EJ back. Bo and EJ have played a lot of our 2 and 5 man. And then Ngata has been pretty consistent for us. Obviously, we missed him some as well, but didn't have him for the Pitt game. But getting him back was great, and it just gives us some flexibility, with Ross. And I thought Ross had a heck of a game last week. He really, made some plays that we either missed the throw or we just hadn't finished the catch when the throw was there consistently. So it was really good to see that last week. But he's a guy that you'll continue to see us formation him where we need him to be.
So in terms of practice, I think Tony was talking about yesterday having so few linemen. How do you guys get through and kind of get the quality reps you need, not overwork guys with the guys?
Well, we have a very good practice routine, and we have our rotation. Our 2s always get the same amount of rep as our 1, so we try to create as much depth throughout the season as we can. But I mean, we got 10 guys, but it's more about the snaps than it is the amount of time. We know what reps we want to get, and we just get those reps and be smart with it. But this time of year, you start to cut things a little bit anyway, from your time and your amount of periods and things like that, as we go into this 9th game. Running back's been the challenge. We don't have a lot of running backs, so we've been getting our emergency running backs ready. So been having to get creative there.
More of those guys.
That's top secret. That's like you need whatever G5 clearance or something to get that. So yeah, because we only got the 4, and then obviously Kobe was out last week. Maffa rolls an ankle. So we were down to 2 guys in the game. We had Ship and Wrench. So we got to create a little depth there. So you can't just take random people and say go play running back. Doesn't work that way. Not at this level. You got to have some knowledge. So we're just trying to find offensive guys that could play running back for us if we needed it. So trying to be creative with that and get a little indie and a little ball handling and some basic stuff with guys that understand the scheme.
Is Kobe back this week?
He is back. That's a big shot for us.
With EJ, does he have anything on that hand or just wrapped to help with that thumb ligament?
He's been. They have like a little special little bitty like made like a little hard shell thing that fits him perfectly. But yeah, he's really not had any issues with it. He's been fine with that. The knee was what took him out, but he's looked good from there too. I mean, it's good to get him back and healthy.
It seems like Goodrich has leveled up to maybe where he and Booth are pretty consistently 1A, 1B out there. What have you seen from him to make that jump?
Yeah, that's awesome. Just maturity, and in today's world of college football, if this was, he wouldn't be here. He'd have been gone. And that's what I hate about today's world. A lot of guys won't hang in there and develop and stick with it, and that's what you love to see in Mario, because he has, and he's had a heck of a year for us. He really has. He's had a heck of a year. Had a great game last week. He's had a bunch of PBUs. He's a physical guy. He's been a very good contributor on special teams. I'm really proud of him. I mean, he's played well for us. But again, one of those guys probably wish we could have redshirted as a freshman, kind of where we were. We just needed to get him a little bit of experience. And then I think just maturity, really getting serious about being a great player and not just being a good athlete who can play football, but really getting serious about being a student of the game, being a craftsman at what you do, on and off the field, the type of commitment that it takes. I think that's the biggest thing. And then availability. He was hurt. And I think him being hurt affected him, from a little bit of a development standpoint, because he just couldn't play for a little stretch there. It was a knee, it was a growing. He had a lot of different things over a year or so there, and it's just been good to see him put it all together. But just the biggest thing is just sticking with it and the maturing process, and then just making the commitment that he needed to make. So I'm really proud of him. He's been a real bright spot for us this year.
Devil, going back to the running backs, Darren Rencher's obviously not someone who's had a ton of playing time, but just overall, what kind of presence does he bring this season and just kind of in his career?
Yeah, man, Wrench has always been productive. He's a good player. Hey, I would have no problem with Wrench going out there. He can play. It's just, this has been a weird year because he's had a lot of good moments over his career, but every game's been down to the last play. It's just kind of who we are this year, and we really haven't had many games where, we've had, the ability to really play as many people as we normally play. And like I said, it's just kind of been like life or death on every single play. And I know y'all have enjoyed every minute of that. Makes y'all's job a lot more fun, I'm sure. So he hasn't had as much opportunity. He's played special teams and done a good job for us there. He's a great leader. But hopefully, he'll have some opportunity somewhere before this season is over. But he's a good player. He really is. We're going to need him at some point.
How ready are T.O. and Mays to, if you need them to play significant snaps?
Yeah, I think Mitchell is ready. I think he is a mature. He's a redshirt freshman, and I think both of them are redshirt freshmen. And I think he's really. I think he's grown. He's got, even though you haven't seen a lot, same thing. Every game is life or death, and every play is, win or lose. And we haven't had an opportunity to really sub as much. And Walker's, our best player there right now. But I've got a lot of confidence in Mitchell. I think he's going to be a good player for us. Same with T.O. I just think that Paul, he is big, very physical. I just think he's got to still continue to work to be a little more detailed in what he does. A little better practice habits and things like that. But same thing, young guy that you're going to look up, kind of where Rayburn was last year. And, man, now Rayburn is really coming on, and it's just fun to see. It's fun to see he's a redshirt sophomore, and the light has come on for that kid. And his athleticism, his physicality, his understanding of the game, how he practices, how he prepares. He's just at a different level, and that's kind of what I hope will happen with T.O., because T.O. can be a very good player. He's got to be a little more committed to the details, be a little better practice guy, and we'll get him where he needs to be. But he's got to be ready, and he went in last week, one play, and he wasn't ready. So we ran a draw. It's probably gonna crease, and he just lets the guy run inside, and you don't ever get beat inside on a draw. And I just think, again, staying ready. You just don't know. And all of a sudden, bam, bam, guys go down. He's got to go in, and it's a bad play, and it's one play. So we just need him to be a little bit more, to be a little more ready. I think it just comes with how he approaches practice every day, how he approaches the meetings, and really believing in himself, because he's got it. He really does. He's got it. He's got the ability to be a very good player, and he will be. Because I do think that he wants to be. Just think same thing, kind of just it's where we are right now developmentally. But he better be ready. Better be ready this week. They better all be ready. As we we got a few good men. That's it. 3 men in a truck. Here we come. Got to make it work somehow.
Have you had any marketing bites on your Ship Happens t-shirt?
That's not my shirt. Yeah. I don't know. Somebody brought that up last night. Yeah. Sounds like a good one to me. Ship happens. It's pretty good.
Anything else from anybody in the room? Any questions from Zoom?
Hey, Dabo, this is Anna, Clemson 24/7. I think you've been pretty pleased with how the back end has played, and it seems like Jalen Phillips has been a big part of that. What do you like about his development and his skill set right now?
Yeah, so kind of what I just said about Rayburn. He's a redshirt sophomore and just has really matured. I think that's right, 3rd year, I think, and really matured. He's stayed the course. He's very detailed in his preparation, very detailed in his practice habits. Shows up every day, and man, he shows up to compete, and you have to compete here. You have to compete. And man, he's a great competitor that takes a lot of pride in his work, a lot of pride in his performance, a lot of pride in his knowledge of the game. I'm really proud of him. And same thing with Mickens. I mean, redshirt freshman, he's grown up. I think Makuba has helped both of them really take a step forward. So I'm real pleased with our group on the back end. We've done a nice job. For the most part, we've been very well positioned. Tyler Venables has done a great job for us. He's kind of been our move around guy. He can play either safety spot, but he's also kind of been our robber and dime guy. He's done a good job, man. So Mickey's done a great job with that group. I mean, we've created some depth that we feel really good about. Nolan has been awesome. Nolan has been an incredible mentor and an incredible leader for that whole room. I mean, he's just taken them all under his wing, all in the off season. He's taken a lot of pride with that, so, man, we're gonna be in good shape there. Really pleased with the guys we have, and we're gonna sign a couple really good guys too that will be able to help us. And then Xander's has been out all year, so we all hopefully get him healthy. We know what he can do.
Saw Capar dressed out last week. Can you update on him?
Yeah, so first opportunity he's had now. I mean, he really just now really getting cleared to really get back going. So he's just trying to work his way back in the routine of things and trying to get himself in a position to be ready if we need him. So just missed so much time, missed all of camp and most of the season. Again, just been rehabbing, but he's been back in practice now for a couple weeks and is, like I said, working his way into just trying to be ready if we need him. But glad to get him back.
Go ahead.
Brandon Spector, is there still hope that Brandon could get back?
Yeah, still hope. He's dealing with some acid reflux stuff right now, so he's talking about a certain procedure that he hopes is going to help with that. But we're still keeping our fingers crossed. But again, good news for him is he's still got his whole career in front of him. Last year didn't count, so technically he's a redshirt freshman again this year. So he's still got 3 years ahead of him if he needs it. And we've missed him for sure.
Are you gonna have a meal with BT Potter this week?
Am I gonna have what?
A meal with BT Potter this week?
A meal with BT Potter? No, I'll just leave him alone, man. He's got it. He'll be all right. He'll be fine. He might do something different. I don't know if he ate the wrong cereal or what. I don't know what happened. But he'll be all right. He came back last night. He was great last night and just kind of right back at it. Just, unfortunately, that's a position that you can have a day like that. But fortunately, we were able to get it done for him. And as I told him after the game, man, he's got it done for us all year. I mean, all year, he's got it done for us. So You know, he just had his first kind of off day, but he picked a good day to do it because we were able to get it done offensively and defensively.
Anything else for Coach?